Hi. Our lesson for today is all about the midline theorem and the theorems on trapezoid and kite. So today, I will teach you on how to solve problems involving trapezoids and kites using their theorems. Let's have the midline theorem. The midline theorem, the segment that joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, is parallel to the third side and half as long. So this midline theorem is for triangle. So this theorem states that if you have a triangle and you choose any two sides with their midpoints right there and here, okay. So let's say this is triangle A, B, C, and this midpoint is the point D, and this midpoint is the point E. Now, if you join the two midpoints, you will create a segment, and in that theorem, it states that this segment, the midline or the mid-segment, is parallel to the third side of the triangle. And the measure of that segment, the mid-segment or the midline, is half the measure of the third side of the triangle. Meaning to say, segment DE is equal to 1/2 of side AC. So this will be the general formula. Okay? Now, let's apply the concept of the midline theorem and solve problems that involves midline theorem or midline or mid-segment of a triangle. In triangle ABC, D and E are the midpoints. AB of side AB and side BC respectively. Alright, so this is our formula based on the midline theorem. DE is equal to 1/2 of AC. Now, let's have number 1. If DE is equals to 13, then what is the measure of AC? Once again, the measure of DE is half of the measure of the side AC. Meaning to say, if you have the given the measure of segment DE, if that's 13, all you have to do is double it, and that will be the measure of AC. 2 times 13 is 26. Therefore, the measure of AC is 26 units. Alright? 26. Next, number 2. If BC is equals to 38, then segment BE is what? So what is the measure of segment BE given the measure of the side BC? Right? So this is your side BC. Alright, and that's 38. And since you have the midpoint here, take note, the midpoint divides the side into two equal segments. So meaning to say, BE is congruent to EC. Alright? If that's the case, meaning to say, BE is half of 38 or half of side BC. No? So now all we have to do is divide 38 by 2. 38 divided by 2 is 19. So therefore, the measure of BE is 19. Also, the measure of EC is 19. So 19 plus 19 is 38. Alright? So once again, BE or segment BE is half of the side BC. Since side BC is 38, therefore, BE is 19. Number 3. If AD is equals to 11.5, so where is AD? AD is a segment, no? Part of the side BA. Ayan. And this is DA or AD, and that's 11.5. So we have to find the measure of side AB. Alright. So once again, point D is a midpoint. Therefore, point D divides the side AB or BA into two equal segments. So since 11.5, the measure of segment AD, therefore, the measure of DB is also 11.5. Now, if you sum up 11.5 times 11.5, that's 23. Alright, 23. Or, just double, no? Just double the measure of the segment AD. 11.5 times 2, that's 23. Alright? So once again, the measure of segment or side AB is equals to 23. Let's add number 4. Number 4 is the same with number 2. So that's 19. Number 5, AC. AC, so let's use different color. AC is 57. Alright, and find the measure of DE. What will be the measure of DE? Alright, ano daw yung sagot? Since sabi nga sa theorem, according to the midline theorem, the midline or the mid segment is half the measure of the third side. Kung saan parallel po yung midline o yung mid-segment natin. Okay? Ngayon, kalahati yung measure. Since the third side of the triangle measures 57, all we have to do is divide it by 2 or get the half of it. So, what is the half of 57? So, divide lang natin. 57 divided by 2, that's 28.5. 28.5. Alright? So, therefore, the measure of segment DE is 28.5. Alright? Now, let's have number 6. If the segment DE is equal to x minus 2 and segment or side AC is equal to x plus 10, then what will be the measure of the segment DE? What will be the measure? So once again, the mid-segment DE is half the measure of the third side of the triangle AC. So we have the formula. DE is equals to 1/2 of AC. Now, all we have to do is substitute the measurements or expressions that refers to the following sides or segments. No? DE is equal to x minus 2. Okay, substitute lang natin. And then 1/2 times the quantity of AC is equal to x plus 10. So, let's substitute x plus 10 for AC. X plus 10. Okay, substitute to AC. So, we will have now this equation. X minus 2 equals to 1/2 times the quantity of x plus 10. Now, we will distribute 1/2 to the terms inside the parentheses. We will follow the Dundas rule. Since wala namang kailangan i-simplify or combine sa loob ng parentheses, then we will do multiplication. Kasi Dundas na grouping symbol, then exponent, wala namang exponent, then next multiplication or division. So, let's multiply. 1/2 multiply to the terms inside the parentheses, distribute. So, it will become, pwedeng the whole expression, no? X plus 10 times 1, that's x plus 10, over, copy the denominator 2, and then copy the expression on the left. Alright, then after that, you can just simply use the multiplication property of equality. Just multiply of the both side of the equation by the denominator 2, no? To eliminate the denominator 2, dun sa may right side. So, we have to multiply both side of the equation by 2. Right? So, on the right side, we can just easily cancel out the factor and then the denominator 2. So, we only have x plus 10 on the right, and then on the left side, we have 2 times the quantity of x minus 2. So, we can multiply the 2 to the terms inside the parentheses already now. So, distribute natin yung 2 inside the parentheses. So, we will have 2 times x, that will be 2x, and then 2 times -2, that will be -4. Then after that, let's do combine like terms. I suggest class na ilipat ninyo, unahin nyo class yung may variable x or yung may variable. And then, ilipat nyo class yung numerical coefficient na may variable. Alright, ilipat nyo yung may variable x na kung saan the numerical coefficient has the lesser value. Alright, so x dito, yun yung may lesser value since 1 yan. Kaya, yung x po ang ililipat natin to the left. And from positive x, it will become negative x. So, 2x minus x on the left. And then, sa may right side naman, ilalagay natin yung mga walang variable. So, -4 will be moved to the right. And the sign will be, change, no? From negative, it will become +4. So, we will have 4 plus 10 on the right. Now, let's perform the indicated operations. 2x minus x, that will be x. And then 4 plus 10, that will be 14. So the value of x is equals to 14. Now, take note class, this is not yet the final answer because we have to find the measure of the segment D. So 14 here is just the value of x. So I'm going to use different color. And to find the measure of the segment D, now all we have to do class is substitute the value of x to the expressions that equal to segment D or DE. So that's x minus 2. Let's substitute the value of x, which is 14. It will become 14 minus 2. So what is 14 minus 2? 14 minus 2 is 12. Therefore, class, DE is equals to 12 units. Now, DE is equals to 12 units. So that will be the final answer, number 6. Alright? Now, we're done with this example. And we're done talking about the midline theorem. Now, let's proceed to the next theorems. This time, we will be I will be discussing the theorems on the trapezoid and kite. Now let's have the theorems on trapezoid and kite. Properties of trapezoids. Let's define first what is a trapezoid. It is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. One pair lang po of parallel sides. Kung sa parallelogram, all or opposite, both opposite sides are parallel. This one naman sa trapezoid, only one pair of opposite sides parallel. Okay? And the parallel sides are what we call bases. Okay, yung parallel sides lang tawag na ay bases. A trapezoid has two pairs of base angles. The base angles of a trapezoid are two consecutive angles whose common side is a base. So, yung base angles class, ito yung dalawang magkasunod na angles na kung saan nag-share sila sa isang common side, which is the base. No? So, later makikita nyo kung saan sila makikita sa trapezoid. And the non-parallel sides are what we call legs of the trapezoid. Ngayon, if the legs of the trapezoid are congruent, then the trapezoid is an isosceles trapezoid. Let's have the illustration. Okay, so this example, the first illustration, this figure, is an example of a trapezoid. So you can see class, paano nyo malalaman kung parallel yung dalawang sides? Kagaya na sinabi ko sa inyo last time, kung hindi given na yan ay parallel, gagamit sila ng symbols or markings. As you can see, we have here arrowheads, no, dun sa may dalawang sides. Ayan po, eto, may arrowheads na ginamit, meaning to say that they are parallel to each other. So they are the bases, kasi sila yung parallel sides ng trapezoid na to. And then as you can see, we have the legs. They are the non-parallel sides. Alright? And another example, or another figure, this one, no, in just, it is a trapezoid also, but in different position. Okay? Ito yung parallel sides, the bases, and then ito naman yung mga legs. Alright? The non-parallel sides. And once again, when the two legs of the trapezoid are congruent or equal, ayan, the trapezoid is what we call isosceles trapezoid. Alright? Now, let's have the theorems on trapezoids. The mid-segment theorem. Actually, class, it is also known as the midline theorem on trapezoid. Kanina, midline theorem on triangle. This time naman, the midline theorem on trapezoids. Okay? And you can use also the mid-segment theorem. Okay? Kasi segment naman yon, no? When you join the two midpoints, you create segment, no? And ang tawag po dyan ay median. No? Doon sa mid-segment, ang tawag po dun ay median. The median of a trapezoid is parallel to each base, and its length is 1/2 the sum of the lengths of the bases. Okay? So let's have the illustration. For example, this is your trapezoid. Alright? And you have here the median. Okay? So the median formed by the two midpoints in the legs of this trapezoid. Alright? So let's say A, B, C, D, E, F. Ayan. Right? Teka, ba't parang may kakaiba dito? A, B, C, D. Dito. Not A. Alright? Should be D. Alright. Now, the median, this is the median class. This is the median. Alright, the median. And the median is half the measure of the sum of the bases, or of the two bases. And this median is parallel to the two bases. Right? So once again, the median is parallel to the two bases of the trapezoid, and the measure of the median is 1/2 of the measure, or 1/2 of the sum of the measure or lengths of the two bases. So let's say B sub 1 be the first base, and then B sub 2 be the second base. Alright? So referring to the figure, we will use the letters not to name the bases and segment. Let's say the median is the median EF, or segment EF. Ayan. And that will be equal to 1/2 the times the quantity of B sub 1. Let's say B sub 1 be the side AB, and then B sub 2 be the side CD or DC, no? Alright? Ayan po. So, this will be our general formula in order to find the measure of the median of a trapezoid. Okay, once again, the median is equals to the half of the sum of the lengths of the two bases. All right, now let's use the concept or the theorem in order to solve this problem. So we have here, number one, in the figure, segment MN is the median of trapezoid PQRS. So we have to find the measure of segment or median MN. Now, using the theorem, let's have the solution. The theorem, it states that the median is 1/2 of the sum of the lengths of the two bases. So b sub 1 plus b sub 2. Alright? Median is equal to 1/2 times the quantity of b sub 1 plus b sub 2. Now, the median is the segment MN times 1/2 b sub 1. Let's say b sub 1, the side PQ, and then b sub 2 be the side SR. Alright, now this time we can substitute the measures of its sides or bases. MN equals to 1/2, PQ is equals to 12, and then SR is equals to 28. Now solve. MN is equals to 1/2, 12 plus 28, that is 40. And then continue. MN is equals to 1/2 times 40, that's 40 over 2, or 40 divided by 2. So 40 divided by 2, that's 20. Now class, since we are dealing with lengths of sides and segments, do not forget to write or put the unit of measurements in your final answer. Now, if the unit of measurement is not given in the problem, you may use the word unit or units. Okay? So, since 20, we have to use the word units. Therefore, the measure of the segment MN or the median is equals to 20 units. Alright, now let's have another example. In the figure, median PQ is, or segment PQ is the median of trapezoid LMNO. Find the value of X, the measure of side LM, and the measure of side ON. Okay? By the way, class, may typographical error dito, no? I forgot to put the other given. I forgot to put 25 for PQ. Okay? So take note, class, the measure of segment PQ is 25. Okay? That's a given. Alright? Now, let's find first the value of X. Kasi kailangan yan para masolve natin yung measures o lengths ng bawat sides. We have to find first the value of X. So let's have the solution. Alright, we will use here the mid-segment theorem or the midline theorem on trapezoid. The median is equal to 1/2 times the quantity of b sub 1 plus b sub 2. Alright, now let's substitute the names of the bases and median. So the median is PQ. And then equal to 1/2. B sub 1 is, let's say, LM. Side LM. And then B sub 2 be the side ON. Right? Next is we substitute the measure of PQ, which is 25, and the expression for LM. Let's substitute 3x. And plus 4x minus 1 to ON. Now we have the equation 25 equals to 1/2 times the quantity of 3x plus 2 plus 4x minus 1. Now, let's simplify first the equation by combining the terms inside the parentheses first. 3x plus 4x, that will be 7x. And then 2 plus negative 1. 2 plus negative 1 or 2 minus 1, that's positive 1. Alright? Or 2 plus negative 1, since unlike sign, we need to subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1, and then we will copy the sign of the integer with greater absolute value. Since positive 2 has the greater absolute value, therefore, the sign would be positive. That's why positive 1. Alright? Now, let's continue. We have now 25 equals to 1/2 times the quantity of 7x plus 1. So, we have to distribute 1/2 to the terms inside the parentheses by distributive property of multiplication. So 1 half times 1 times 7x plus 1, magiging 7x plus 1 pa din. And then just copy the denominator too. Alright? A while ago, to simplify this kind of expression, dito sa my right side, we have denominator. We multiply both sides of the equation, no? Kung ano yung denominator. This time, we will do the shortcut. All we have to do is cross multiply. So we will cross multiply the denominator 2 to the left. Ayan, cross multiply. So 2 times 25, it will become 2 times 25, it will become 50. So we will have now 50 equals to 7x plus 1. And then, since 7x is already on the right side, so we have to move the positive 1 to the left para hindi na magalaw yung may variable x. No? So, from positive 1, it will become negative 1 to the left. So we will have 50 minus 1 on the left equals to 7x. And then, 50 minus 1, that's 49, equals to 7x. Now, in order to eliminate the 7 beside x, we have to divide both sides of the equation by 7. So that we can just easily cancel out 7 beside x. Okay? And then 49 divided by 7, that's 7. So therefore, x is equal to 7. That's back our final answer. Alright. Next, the measure of the side LM. So in order to find the measure of the side LM, all we have to do is using the expression 3x plus 2. We just need to substitute the value of x now, which is 7. So substitute the value of x, we will have 3 times 7 plus 2. Multiply 3 times 7, that's 21, plus 2. So 21 plus 2 is 23. Okay, so since length it is the length of the side LM, do not forget the unit of measurement. Since unit of measurement is not given, we will use the word units. Therefore, the final answer will be the measure of the side LM is 23 units. Alright. Next, let's find the measure of the side ON. Side ON. Change color muna tayo. Side ON. So ON is equals to 4x minus 1. Let's substitute the value of x, which is 7. So magiging 4 times 7 minus 1. 4 times 7 is 28. 28 minus 1, that's 27. 27 units. Okay, so that will be the measure of side ON. 27 units. Alright? 27 units. So class, we already find all the answers. Now, we're done with example number 2. Next, theorems on isosceles trapezoids. Theorem. The base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. So the base angles, class, are the consecutive angles that share with the common side, which is the base. Asan yun? Plus angle A and angle B sharing the common side AB, which is one of the parallel sides. So therefore, angle A and angle B are what we call base angles. Same with angle D and angle C, since they have the common side DC, which is a base. One of the parallel sides of this trapezoid. Now, it states that the base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent, meaning to say, the base angles A and B, angle A and B are congruent. Alright, and then angle D and angle C are also congruent. When you say congruent, they have the same measures. Alright, now let's apply the concept. Before we apply the concept, let's have the other theorem. This theorem: opposite angles of an isosceles trapezoid are supplementary. When you say opposite, class, magkatapat. Therefore, ito po, angle A and angle K are opposite angles. So meaning to say, they are supplementary. When you say supplementary, when you add them, the result is 180 degrees. Right? So therefore, measure of angle A plus the measure of angle K is equal to 180 degrees. Okay? Same with this opposite angles, angle M and angle K. When you add them, the measure of those angles, the measure of that, when you add, the result is 180 degrees as well. So measure of angle M plus the measure of angle angle S rather, is also equals to 180 degrees. All right. So let's proceed to the example. Find the measure of each angle in the given isosceles trapezoid. Okay. So let's use the theorem. Yung first theorem na na-mention dito sa isosceles trapezoid ay yung base angles, no? Base angles are congruent. Meaning to say, ito si angle B, 82. Measure of angle B is 82 degrees. So, measure of angle N, and measure of angle N and angle B are base angles. Angle N and angle B are base angles. So, therefore, angle N and angle B are congruent to each other. Right? They're congruent to each other. So, angle N is congruent to angle B. Now, if the measure of angle B is 82 degrees, therefore, the measure of angle N is 82 degrees as well. Alright? So, we're done with angle N. Now, next tayo. Sabi, yung second theorem that being mentioned in isosceles trapezoid, the opposite angles are what? Supplementary, right? Since angle C and angle B are opposite angles, therefore, they are supplementary. Okay? Supplementary. Meaning to say, when you add the measure of angle C and the measure of angle B, the result is 180 degrees. Alright? Now, let's substitute the given measures. Copy the measure of angle C plus the measure of angle B is 82 degrees. So let's substitute it. Equals to 180 degrees. Now, combine like terms. We have to move 82 to the right side. I'm so sorry. I forgot to hide, no? Hide muna tayo. Yan, para makita nyo, class. Ayun. So once again, since angle B and angle C are opposite angles, therefore, they are supplementary. Since they are supplementary, when you add them, the result is 180 degrees. Measure of angle C plus the measure of angle B is equals to 180 degrees. Alright? So that will be the equation. Now we have to substitute the given measures. The given measure is the measure of angle B, which is 82 degrees. Sinabstitute natin. And this time we have to combine like terms. So we just have to move 82 to the right and it will become negative. Measure of angle C is equal to 180 degrees minus 82 degrees. So what will be the result? Measure of angle C will be equal to 98 degrees. Alright, class, by the way, we're talking about degrees or angle. Kaya do not forget po the unit of measurement. Do not forget the degree symbol. Alright. The degree symbol is a degree. No, the degree symbol. It is a small circle on the upper right side of the number. Okay? Sige. Now, we're done with the measure of angle C. Now, O naman. Angle O. So, lagi lang po natin yung mga measures, no? Angle N is equals to 82 degrees. And angle C is equals to 98 degrees. So, we have to find the angle, the measure of angle O. So, measure of angle O, angle O and angle C are base angles, right? And since they are base angles of this given isosceles trapezoid, therefore, they are also congruent. Angle O is congruent to angle C. And since the measure of angle C is 98 degrees, therefore, the measure of angle O is also 98 degrees. Alright? So, we're done with this example. Now, let's proceed to the next theorem. The diagonals of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. Meaning to say, class, the two diagonals have the same length. The diagonal AC and the diagonal BD, they are congruent. Okay? Diagonal AC and then the diagonal BD or DB are congruent. So they have the same measure. Now let's apply the concept of that theorem. Example, given isosceles trapezoid grab, GRAB, whose median is ED. Diagonals GA and RB measure of angle BGR is equals to 111 degrees. If the measure of the diagonal GA is 63 centimeters and the measure of the side GB is equals to 18 centimeters, find the measure of segment EB, diagonal RB, and segment ED, measure of angle GBA, and measure of angle RAB. Let's solve for EB first. Alright, so point E is a midpoint. So it divides GB into two equal segments, right? So since GB is 18 centimeters, that's the measure of GB. If we divide that into two, therefore, its segments here, BE and GE, will got 9 centimeters each. 9 centimeters each. Alright? BE is just half of the side GB. So all you have to do is divide the measure of GB by 2. Alright? So once again, EB is equals to the half of GB. Alright? Now, the measure of GB is 18. Now, what is the half of 18? So EB will be equal to 18 over 2, or EB is equal to 9. And do not forget the unit of measurement, and that will be centimeters. EB will be equal to 9 centimeters. That's the measure of segment EB or segment BE. Alright? Next, let's solve for RB. Now, according to the theorem, diagonals are congruent. So the diagonals are congruent. So meaning to say, diagonals are congruent. Diagonal GA is congruent to the diagonal RB. Now, if the measure of the diagonal GA is 63 centimeters, therefore the measure of the diagonal RB is also equal to 63 centimeters. Alright? Next. Mid-segment ED or segment ED. So ED is the mid-segment, or what we call median. Median. So according to the mid-segment theorem or midline theorem on trapezoid, the median is equal to the half of the length or sum of the lengths of the two bases. So B sub 1 plus B sub 2. Now, let's substitute, The median is ED. 1/2. B sub 1 could be the side GR. And then B sub 2 could be the side BA. Pwede po sila magkabaliktad, since addition naman yan. Changing the position of the addends doesn't affect the sum. Commutative property of addition. Now, let's substitute class the given. ED will be equal to 1/2. GR is 45. BA is 67. Let's simplify. Add natin yung nasa loob ng parentheses. 45 plus 67, that's 112. 1/2 times 112. 1/2 times 112 will be 112 over 2. And 112 over 2, or 112 divided by 2 is what? 56. Do not forget the unit of measurement, centimeters. So therefore, the median is, or the measure of the median is 56 centimeters. Alright? Now, we're done with the median or segment ED. Now, let's proceed to the next. We have to find the measure of angle GBA. Right, so the measure of BGR, that's the given measure of an angle, that's 111 degrees. All right, so we have to find the measure of angle GBA. So the measure of angle GBA, or the angle GBA, is here. So we have to find that measure. All right, yan yung kailangan nating hanapin. Now, as you can see, since it is an isosceles trapezoid, it is a trapezoid. Now we can relate, or we can relate this concept to parallel lines cut by transversal. According to parallel lines cut by transversal, same side interior angles are supplementary. Okay? Meaning to say, when you add the two the two angles, when you add the two angles, the result is 180 degrees, no? When you add the two angles. Alright? Therefore, measure of angle GBA plus the measure of angle BGR is equals to 180 degrees. Alright? So let's substitute the given. Measure of angle GBA, yan yung hinahanap natin. And the measure of angle BGR rather, that's the given, which is 100 degrees equals to 180 degrees. Now, move natin yung 111 degrees to the right. So we will have measure of angle GBA equals to 180 degrees minus 111 degrees. Okay? Subtract natin yan. Measure of angle GBA, B equal to, and what's the answer? The answer is 69 degrees. Alright, 69 degrees. Pag pinaganyan yan, 69 plus 111, the result is 180. Alright, 6, 7, 8. So, 80. Alright, 69 degrees. Therefore, the measure of angle GBA is equal to 69 degrees. Box lang natin yung final answer natin. Now, next tayo. Proceed tayo sa next. Measure of angle RAB naman. Now, measure of angle RAB. Angle RAB, ayan po, base angles are congruent. Angle RAB is this angle, no? This is the angle RAB. At ang given natin, this one, which is 111, right? And nahanap na rin natin yung GBA, angle GBA, which is, that's the measure of 69 degrees. So, since they are the angle GBA and angle RAB are base angles. They are base angles. Ayan. Therefore, they are congruent. They are congruent. Since they are congruent, if the measure of angle GBA is 69 degrees, therefore, the measure of angle RAB is also 69 degrees. Right? Let's box the final answer. Alright, that's all, class. Next, let's have the properties of kite. A kite is a quadrilateral with two distinct pairs of equal adjacent sides. What do you mean by two distinct pairs? When you say two distinct pairs, kung ano na po yung magkapares, hindi na po pwedeng ipares yung isa doon sa kabila. Kahit adjacent pa sila. What do you mean by that? So you can see, we have these two adjacents and kitang-kita naman, no? Based on the figure, they're congruent. Kitang-kita naman na same sila ng length or measure. Okay? Pag kite po, ganon. Okay? So, itong dalawang to, sila na po yung magka-partner. They are congruent to each other. Side JK is congruent to side KL. Sila na pong dalawa. Hindi mo na pwedeng ipare si JK dito kay JM. Hindi na po pwede. Alright? Kasi si JM po ay may kapares na din. Si JM is congruent to LM. Kagaya na sinabi natin kanina, si JM tapos si LM naman. Side JM and side LM ay hindi na rin po pwedeng ipares doon sa iba pang sides. Kahit adjacent pa sila. Kasi pag sinabing adjacent po ay katabi. O ay katabi or kadikit. No? Now, ayan po. Kaya naman, si side JK is congruent to side KL and then side JM is congruent to side ML. Bawal na po silang ipares sa iba, no? Kung ano yung, kung sino na po yung couple, sila na po yun. Kung sino na po yung pares, sila na po yun. Hindi na sila pwedeng ipares sa iba pa. So, dalawa lang. Kung hindi na, two pairs lang po. Kaya nga, two distinct pairs of equal adjacent sides. Now, let's have the properties. Number 1. One of the diagonals divides the kite into two congruent triangles, while the other diagonal divides the kite into two isosceles triangles. Asan yun? Etong vertical diagonal, nakatayong diagonal class, it divides the kite into two congruent triangles. While the other one, this diagonal, the horizontal diagonal, it divides the kite into two isosceles triangle. Alright? Okay. That's why the diagonal KM, yung vertical diagonal class, it divides the kite JKLM into two congruent triangles. That's why triangle KJM is congruent to triangle KLM. And the diagonal JL, the horizontal diagonal, it divides the kite into the kite JKLM into two isosceles triangles, triangle JKL and the triangle JML. Next, one diagonal is a bisector of the other diagonal. So the bisector here, the diagonal bisector here is the diagonal KM, yung vertical yung nakapatayo. It bisect the diagonal JL. So meaning to say, it divides the diagonal JL into two congruent segments. That's why segment JC is congruent to segment CL. Alright? Next, only one pair of opposite angles is congruent. Only one pair. Now, asan yun? Ang tinutukoy class ng opposite angles na congruent ay etong nasa may bandang pakpak ng kite, no? Ito, consider as the wings, no, ng ating kite kapag nagpapalibad tayo ng saranggola, no? Alright, so these two angles, this one pair of opposite angles, they are congruent po to each other. Alright? Okay, so ang clue dito ay yung binisect na diagonal. Kung ano po yung na-bisect na diagonal, yung diagonal na hati into two equal segments, kung ano po yung angles na opposite niyan o tinamaan niyan, sila po yung congruent sa isa't isa. Alright? At yun yung dalawang angles na to, si angle MJK at si angle MLK, they are congruent to each other. And last but not the least, one of the diagonals bisects the opposite angles of the kite. Ito yung diagonal KM, no, yung nakatay yung diagonal. It divides the opposite angles into two equal angles. That's why angle JKM is congruent to angle MKL, and then angle JMK is congruent to angle LMK. Alright? Now, that's the theorem. The diagonals of a kite are perpendicular to each other. Okay? So, yung dalawang kites class, when they intersect, they form 90-degree angle. Kaya nga perpendicular. Ayan po. So, when you say perpendicular, kapag nag-intersect yung dalawang diagonals, ayan, they form 90-degree angle. Na ang measure po ay 90 degrees. Okay? Lahat po yan. Siyempre. Ayan, lahat yan. Alright? Now, let's have the application. Find the measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2, and the measure of angle RAD in the kite deer, given the measure of angle EAD, which is 37 degrees. Okay? Now, let's have the solution. Take note, class. Ito po. Measure of angle 1 is the angle formed, one of the angle formed by the intersection of the diagonals. Meaning to say, sabi nga doon sa theorem, diagonals are perpendicular. Meaning to say, the measure of angle 1 is equal to 90 degrees. Alright? Kasi nga perpendicular. Right angle po. Okay? Now, let's have the measure of angle 2. Since we already have the measure of angle 1, measure of angle 1 is 90 degrees, and we have here the 37 degrees. Kailangan na lang mahanap natin ay si angle 2. What's the measure of angle 2? And we also know that the sum of all the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. Therefore, if we add the measure of angle 2, angle 1, measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, plus the measure of angle EAD, the result is 180 degrees. Now, all we have to do is substitute the given measure and then the acquired measure. Ang measure of angle 1 natin is 90. 90. Erase natin to. 90 lang. 90. And then the measure of angle 2, that's the missing, no? Missing measurement. And the measure of angle AED is 37 degrees. Ayan, class. So, habang nag-solve kayo, kahit hindi nyo nailagay yung degree, no? Para mabilis yung pag-solve ninyo. Basta make sure, class, sa pagdating sa final answer, kailangan merong degree symbol. Now, combining like terms, 90 plus 37, measure of angle 2 plus 127 equals to 180. Alright, that's 180 po. That's 180. Okay, so 127 equals to 180. Now, move natin yung 127 to the right. It will become negative. So, 180 minus 127. Measure of angle 2 will be equal to 53 degrees. Alright, so that will be the final answer. Measure of angle 2. Alright. Now, if you add them, 90 plus 37 plus 53, the result is 180 if you're going to check. No? Add nyo lang lahat yung tatlong angles, dapat ang sagot po is 180. If 180 naging sagot, then you are correct with your answer. Now, let's find the measure of angle rad. Where is the measure of angle rad? Angle rad is this. Ayan po. Kung titingnan nyo mabuti, class, angle rad and then the angle AAD are adjacent angles. And they form after silang tamaan ng diagonal DA. And diagonal DA bisect, no, the angle into, or bisect the angle, meaning to say, it divides the angle into two equal angles. Now, dahil dyan, si angle AAD po, angle EAD, is congruent to angle rad. That's why, if the measure of angle EAD is 37 degrees, therefore, the measure of angle rad is 37 degrees as well. Alright? Okay, so we're done. Okay, hindi nyo pala nakikita. I'm so sorry. Ayan. Since, once again po, since angle EAD is congruent to angle rad, therefore, the measure of angle rad is 37 degrees. Same with the measure of angle EAD. Alright, next. The area of a kite is the product of the lengths of its diagonals. Meaning to say, to get the area of a kite, all you have to do is multiply the measure of the two diagonals and divide it by 2. Once again, the formula to find the area of a kite based dito sa ating theorem, area is equals to the half of the product, of the two diagonals. Let's say d sub 1 times d sub 2. Alright? Diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 divided by 2. Right? Or area is equals to d sub 1 times d sub 2 divided by 2. Or area is equals to d sub 1 times d sub 2 divided by 2. So, ito po yung pinaka-formula natin ngayon dyan. Okay? So, kahit alin dyan sa tatlo, pwede nyo gamitin. Now, let's apply the concept. So, once again, the theorem, to find the area of a kite, based on the theorem, the formula will be area is equals to 1/2 times the quantity of d sub 1 times d sub 2. Alright? So, this will be the formula. Just multiply the two diagonals and then divide it by 2. Pwede rin po yun. Alright? So, multiply the two diagonals and then divide it by 2. Now, let's say that the d sub 1 is the diagonal SA. Right? So, times the diagonal TN over 2. So, let's substitute the measures. A is equals to, the measure of SA is 14. And then, times the measure of TN is 6 divided by 2. So, 4 times 16 is 84. So, divided by 2. 84 divided by 2 is 42. 84. So, divided by 2. 84 divided by 2 is 42. Therefore, the result is 42. Don't forget the unit of measurement. So, since centimeters yan, centimeters squared or square centimeters. Alright? Final answer. Okay? Now, we're done with this example. That's how you find the area of a kite. Now, do task number 3, quarter 3. It is already on your Google Classroom. So, you have until 5 p.m. today to finish the task. And do the assignment number 3. You have to study the theorems that being mentioned today and prove the following. Write your proofs in your math notebook. Upload the pictures of your assignment in our Google Classroom and don't forget the signature of your parent on the first page and last page of your work. Number 1, paki-screenshot po. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Number 2. 1, 2, 3. Number 3. 1, 2, 3. Number 4. Pwede nyo rin i-post yung video. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright? Thank you, everyone. See you.